Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Choujin X Chapter 30, Part 2. When we last left our heroes, all the various battles on the Beast Islands continued, with the fight with Hiroto at basically a standstill, with Shad Owl and Hajimaki continuing to fight the skeletons and Maiko, and telling Ely to go find Tokio and, work out what the real target of this whole mission is. Speaking of Tokio, he and Simon end up splitting up, and Tokio is on the run from Chandra, as a way to, distract him, while Simon goes to work out what's going on with Azuma, and Tokio works out that if he turns off his beastification powers, then Chandra can't track him, as Nari sort of told him about the Choujin sense. Simon is going to see Azuma when he is caught up by the pharmacist, using the, other sword of the person that Simon inherited his sword from, and Simon gets wrecked. He gets completely and totally wrecked. Meanwhile, Azuma is dealing with Yumiko, and he's not doing well. He does create a more, defense version of his Choujin form, swapping out the cloth for armor. But that doesn't do much once Yumiko enters into a chaos state that is pure nightmare fuel, especially in the transformation itself. And it seems like Azuma enters into his own nightmare chaos state. So yeah, a lot of different things going on, not that much, tangible progress, but the scene seems to be shifting back towards the Chandra and Tokio stuff, as we dive right on into Chaosy Part 2. And that title does directly come from the Yumiko stuff from the last part, so I'm not sure if the title will really play into this chapter at all. But yeah, we open with Chandra. As he looks around, we see Tokio hiding, not using his Choujin powers, and then beastifying real quick. And so then Chandra senses him, which might just be Tokio trying to, test that ability, test if that's how Chandra's tracking him, if, Chandra only notices him once he beastifies. Because Chandra does see him, the beast. Where have you been hiding? And Tokio also seems to be trying to bait him. Come on, over this way. And he makes another jump, jumping over the terrain, over here, ear hair, and he slides into, a little crevice, it looks like, and then releases the beastification, allowing himself to run away again. With that, I'm not quite sure why he would beastify in the first place, unless, it's just so that Chandra doesn't work out what he's doing? I don't know, because Chandra is misinterpreting what's going on here. Again. I can't sense him again. Is this some ability? But it's that, the again is spoken out loud, but that next line, I can't sense him again, is this some ability, feels like it looks like it's meant to be thoughts. Because we've seen that same sort of, bubble with no direction and those little, lines stemming from it before. It's a common thought symbol, a common version of a thought bubble, there we go, that the series uses a lot. And yet, Tokio responds directly to the word that he thinks, as he thinks, yeah, an ability I'm not using. That guy's definitely using my ability signal to tail me. So, and we see, literally the difference between speech and thought there. So, beastify, he says out loud. If I keep turning my ability on and off, it should throw him off my scent. As long as I can keep it up, I can buy time. He's constantly releasing and beastifying. I'm not quite sure that, he's right, though. I'm not quite sure that giving Chandra traces of his Choujin sense is the right move here? It seems to me that if he just didn't beastify, he could hide. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I get tuckered out after 3 full beastifications, but I can do a marathon of partial transformations. Now, I just have to wait for Kagemura and company to save me. And Chandra is still floating, looking around. As a reminder, Ely is on her way here. And he just gets tired of the game. Enough! And spawns a huge cloud of smoke over Tokyo. And Tokyo looks back in a panic. What? Enough! And the smoke comes, like, trailing down towards Tokyo. Everyone around, sees it. We see, Maiko and the teachers note it. They're not quite processing what's going on. The pharmacist notes it. And then we cut to Hiroto. That smoke. Mr. Hume must be going overboard. He seems likely to burst a blood vessel. I think that might be the pharmacist's line, but that bubble might be pointing towards both of them. They might be saying that at the same time. Point is, all of Tokyo's planning just sort of pissed Chandra off. As Chandra roars, I'll turn you into a roasted potato. Get out here, you damn beast. It feels like the back and forth just made him angry. Oh, yikes, yikes, yikes. He slides down a hill. Yikes. And then as he slides, Chandra flies down in front of him. He's been caught here. He's 5 times stronger when he flies off the handle. Isn't that what Kagamora said? And we see, his entire, top half of his face is just covered in flame and smoke. He's gnashing his teeth, roaring, as Tokyo panics. It's too late. He's blown his top. I've got no choice. Full beastification. And he goes for it. But, as Simon noted, he stands no chance against Chandra in a full battle. As we see immediately, as Chandra instantly kicks his bird mask in and sends him flying. And then just dashes above him and readies a kick into the ground. Tokyo's strategy just didn't fucking work. Which very well might be the point. But he bounces off the ground and Chandra grabs his head. Oh, this might be it for me. And Chandra, turns into smoke and drags Tokyo behind him. We see the mask, literally shattering off of him. Am I gonna die? Yeah, seems likely. And the mask at this point, it comes, in the earlier panel, his skin's, beneath the mask looks a little darker. Vultures have dark feathers, right? I think their faces aren't, but, below his mask looks dark. And then, at this point, the mask is shattered, and it's just his normal face beneath it. As Chandra roars, die! He's telling me to... Brain feels wobbly. But he can still mutter, And Chandra does not take kindly to his prey, asking questions. What? Sorry. Were you looking for me to kill me? If you were, could you leave everyone else out of it? But Chandra takes offense at that. What? The audacity! So that's a no? I think what Chandra... Because if they are trying to kill him, then, Tokyo's take me, spare the others. If they're not trying to kill him, then there's no real... Then, Chandra's about to fuck up here if he kills Tokyo. I was looking for you. Looking for you, too. And then he pauses. I was looking for him, too. And he has this flashback as someone tells him, Hume, I think this might be the mother. Though when we've seen her before, she looked like that weird, tower conglomeration something or another. But it's definitely a woman who tells him, soon a great crisis will visit Yamato. If the prophecy comes to pass, the land will be uninhabitable to people for a century. To protect this land, we require the beast of salvation. Which all of us... So I've talked at length, right, about my distrust for Yamato Mori. And how the fact that they seem... they have a lot more of a black and white ideal of the world than you would expect from the man who wrote Tokyo Ghoul. And that, but that at times, the sort of dark side of Yamato Mori that Ishida is showing is tempered by the fact that the villains are so, like, horrific. That they're so, with the exception of, like, Ricardo, who still is evil but is, like, kind of nice about it, they're all just kind of terrible. But here, while Hume is presented as, like, not being a good guy, there's an element of, like, he's doing this for a good cause. At least he seems to genuinely believe it. Like, there's no reason his own flashback would lie to him that this is about protecting Yamato. I don't know. Anyway, we require the beast of salvation. And Chandra acknowledges this is Mother. Mother, find the beast. I beg of you, Hume. And he, like, straight up freezes, realizing how badly he almost fucked up. Don't die, boy. Deep breaths. In, out, steady. And Tokio, who's been, like, burned to a crisp here. My brain feels wobbly. Then don't wobble it! Stay alive, or I'll kill you! And Tokio just thinks, that's absurd. And then finally Ely arrives. Knocking, we see Tokio already starting to regenerate. His hair that seemed to have been burned off earlier is, like, fully grown back. But Ely just tackles Chandra. And, given Ellie's very deep sense of right and wrong, and this sort of, wait a second, is there a more, like, genuine motivation to Chandra? I'm curious how Ely is going to, like, draw out the themes of this little, or draw out what exactly Ishida's doing with Chandra right now. Point is, Tokio is shocked at Ellie's arrival, and Ely is just furious to see Chandra. As again, they have not met since that chase in the second chapter. As Chandra reacts, "You, the little monkey from before," and Ely gets a hit on Chandra, largely by surprise. I don't really think she's his equal. But Ely questions, "Who are you calling a monkey?" We see Tokio full, like, X's for eyes, passed out. And Ely calls, "Tokio!" And she flies to catch him. "Ely, Tokio, you're alive, right?" And Tokio just comments, I'm being carried like a princess. And Ely has no time for that. "You sure are." And they land some distance away from the fight with Chandra. As Ely catches him up, "We got attacked by Choujin while we were snoozing. Momoma and the instructors are fighting." And Tokio questions, "They are?" Anyway, they're managing. When I was with Kagamura... when I was with... And then she cuts him off. He cuts her off. "Kagamura. Me and Kagamura were together. We sensed fighting between Azuma and someone." And Ely questions, Higashi was attacked too? "While he and I were heading to Azuma, that guy attacked us. And then Kagamura went to save Azuma. I handled that guy to buy us some time." And we see Simon, who is, like, crawling. He's conscious again, it looks like, but he is not able to stand. And then we have this, like Chandra, after his fall by Ely, is, like, in the ground, like Hildebrand in FF14. "I don't really know why, but that guy seems to be after me. So then and Ely cuts him off, acted as the decoy, huh? You're plucky. Even up against that deranged fella." And that's not really a word anyone's ever really used to describe Tokio, as he's normally sort of seen as kind of a bystander, the kind of guy who lets life happen to him. And so he's shocked at that. "Plucky? Me? Can you stand?" "Yeah." "Can you fight?" "Fight?" And Chandra is heading back towards them as Ely goes on. "If you can move, then it's time to take him down. Together." And Tokio does not really seem on board with this. Has no faith in their chances. But Tokio protests, "No way. Not no way. He's Chandra Hume. He's the smoke man I told you about before. He's the #1 guy. And Yamato I want to teach a lesson to. He's worse than a turd." And I guess this is the first time that, like, that Tokyo's put Chandra and the guy that Ellie hates as like the same person. So he's as like an earlier image of Chandra. I was completely off the mark. But Ellie goes on, but that's not my reason for fighting this time. The instructors in Momoma are occupied. Kagemura and Azuma ain't here. He's after you, Tokyo. In which case, we gotta figure things out on our own, yeah? And Tokyo is still nervous. That guy's uber strong, though. I know. He murdered me once. I guess that was a murder. I never really quite read that as a murder on the plane way back in the pilot. But I guess so. As Tokyo thinks, you're way pluckier than I'll ever be. And his questions, seriously? You must be serious. Are you sure? I'm already half dead. And Ellie just tells him it's fine. But don't you die on me. Roger that. And Tokyo sort of reflects on Ellie for a second. It's weird. With her by my side. I kind of feel like... And he closes his eyes and sighs. I'm not scared. She makes me feel like we can do this. Full beastification. And he goes back at it again. Back to beastification. And Chandra approaches them. And here I was, hoping for a nice, unrushed reunion with my darling successor. You would have done well, with some lectures on the aesthetics of those beautiful powers. But my current mission takes priority. Hand over the beast. And Ellie, sticks her tongue out. Ain't happening. To be continued. And that's where we leave off. And this feels... I don't think we're going to get a 30 part 3. This very much feels like a more traditional chapter end than the sudden cut to Chandra from last chapter. But yeah, the chapter is really good. I think it does I really like that all of a sudden the pharmacist organization, the mother organization, whatever they're called, they've always I sort of had this idea that they were somehow tied to Guelta and Queen and all that stuff. To tie in with the fact that Sora Siraha, who was Queen's main enemy, was the one who founded Yamato Mori, that maybe Guelta, after this great war, founded this organization. And yet, Queen was an invader of Yamato. And Chandra's whole motivation, as presented in this little mini flashback here, is to protect Yamato. So, all of a sudden, that changes the entire game. I really don't, if I had any problems with this arc, is that, one of the things I really love is Yamato Mori and the exploration in Yamato Mori of that sort of, the failures of the black and white morality is why the Sinker arc hits so hard. And this arc felt like it had kind of not quite fully tossed that aside, but at least was putting it to the wayside for now to focus on training. With I never really expected that Ishida would just say, yeah, these guys are boring bad guys. But I wasn't really expecting to get anything really humanizing for them this arc. And the way we had Ricardo and his sort of kindness, butting up against the cruelty of his job sort of thing that made him such a compelling character. I wasn't really expecting something like this for Chandra. The concept of, we're doing this to protect this land. And I suppose it's possible that the mother is lying to him in some way. But he completely changes his tune as he realizes he needs Tokyo alive to protect Yamato. His goal is the protection of Yamato, which is, on the surface at least, also Yamato Mori's goal. So I'm really curious what is going on with that, because there is something going on there that I can't wait for this series to explore. But before we really get to explore Chandra as a character in any greater depth, who shows up but his arch nemesis Ellie, allowing Tokyo and Ellie to take a moment and collect themselves and start the fight again as Chandra. So I want to take a moment on that unrushed reunion with my darling successor, because before the bit about the Beast of Salvation, I would have assumed that was just Chandra mocking Ely. But now there's this idea that he's not, like, that evil or something. And so now I'm curious if he actually maybe... I mean, it's probably largely mocking Ely, but if on some level he does wish that, like, that you know, her and maybe Yamato Mori as a whole saw his side of things? I don't know. Like, Chandra, before I read this chapter, was, like, a fun villain, but he wasn't, like, a character I was super... Like, as a character, I wasn't super invested in him. But now I'm very curious how exactly he fits into the sort of thematic work Ishida is crafting here. That's what I can't really wait to see. As well as Tokio and Ely, one last push to maybe beat Chandra, but probably not. That'll also be fun to see. But yeah, all in all, lots of good stuff here. It doesn't quite have, like, the full, you know, the certain style that Ishida brings to the trippier chapters, like the poison bit in 30 part 1, and it doesn't really have any of that. But it still is a lot of fun, building up both, you know, some questions into Chandra as a character, and continuing to explore, or no, let me rephrase. Developing Chandra as a character, and dragging Ely into this fight with Chandra, continuing her sort of desire for revenge, and you know, the sort of fated rematch between the smoke users. All in all, I can't wait for next time. Of course, the problem with Choujin is you never know when next time will be, but it will be here soon enough, and I can't wait to see it when it comes. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes it happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!